guess I don't need a breath mint because we're not in person.
But feel free if it makes you more comfortable.
Oh,
All righty. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Becoming More Me. I am really excited to have someone here who I consider a friend. We've gotten to know each other through her podcast before. I'm talking today with Kim Duff Selby, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about her. So, she has decades of experience in the fashion industry. She worked at Glamour magazine as a fashion director of Saks Fifth Avenue in Palo Alto, and she was the owner of her own fashion and show production company. And she definitely knows how to help women increase their self-esteem. In 2020, she realized a need to assist people in igniting their inner sparks. And she has this awesome podcast called Ignite Your Spark, which I've been privileged to be a guest on once before, and I'm actually going to be a guest on again soon. And it's a great show. And I love that Kim is, she's 65 now, right, Kim?
no, I'm 67. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think your bio needs an update.
Oh,
That's okay. At 67, and it's even more amazing. She's walking the walk, she's talking the talk, and we are going to talk all about igniting our sparks today. And also, we're going to be celebrating some gratitude because it's Thanksgiving today as we're releasing the episode. And, it's all about being thankful and working on traditions and things. So, welcome, Kim. I'm so glad you're here.
Theresa, it is absolutely my honor to sit back and chat with you because that's what I consider us friends as well. I thank you so much for the opportunity. I really
Oh, I love
great.
it. I've been wanting to have you on for ages. So, how do you and your family celebrate Thanksgiving?
It tends to be different every year because my daughter lives in the UK. And we haven't had Thanksgiving with her for a long, long time. So my son lives about an hour away. So we always spend Thanksgiving with him. But sometimes it's a little different. The past couple of years, I have ordered a turkey because I don't eat meat from Whole Foods and made some sides. And we've had, one or two or three people over. It's really not a not
Yeah.
a huge
Was that a
holiday.
shift to do with the pandemic?
No, it was a shift when my daughter moved to the UK. And we have a very small insular
Gotcha.
family. Anyway, it's just the four of us with a few relatives scattered here and about. But I love Thanksgiving, but I prefer being grateful all year long, every single.
Definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
why do we have to spend just one day being thankful?
Absolutely. I definitely think it should extend way further out than that. I think gratitude, intention, all of that is something that we need to weave into every day. Do you have any favorite ways of doing that?
Oh, absolutely. Every single morning before my feet hit the floor, I am grateful. I am thankful to the universe, God, whatever you believe in. I am grateful for another day. And
Yeah.
then once I get up and I get my tea and I go out to my deck, I sit outside whenever I can, whenever the sun is, well, whenever it's warm enough, whenever when it's not raining, I sit outside and I meditate. And at the end of my meditation, actually, is when I list all the things for which I am grateful that I can think of in the moment.
That's
And then
awesome.
throughout my day, I really try to continue that practice of gratitude and be gracious to those who are assisting me, whether they are in a serving capacity or someone who sends me a cute note or funny text. And then before I go to sleep at night, I learned this in the book, The Magic by Rhonda Byrne.
Oh, good book.
Yeah, I loved that book. I've done it twice. I'll probably do it again in January. And the focus of gratitude. And I think about all the things for which I'm grateful that day, but I pick the one that I'm the most grateful for. And I focus on that. And I just sort of send the vibrational energy around that because I really do want people, the universe, whatever, to know that I am grateful. And because I believe when you are grateful for something, more of that something appears in your life. So why?
Yeah.
But it's also the way I was raised. I was raised to be a gracious person, to say
Ah.
thank you, and to be grateful for everything.
Was that how you were raised, or was it more of like a you need to do that kind of thing? Or was it like the air of like of graciousness and intention towards that gratitude? Because I mean, I'm sure it was there, but it was conveyed differently. It was more like, don't forget to say please and thank you. Don't forget, these kind of things. It was like more like manners than like understanding the power of gratitude.
I have to think about that because, yes, manners were very important to my parents, but I also grew up in a very spiritual household. I attended my first seance at the age of 5. So I also really realized the power of gratitude in everyday life. I believe that was ingrained in me, but because I also had a sort of a spiritual upbringing, it was just, I knew gratitude was important. So I don't think it was just the manners in my
Yeah.
case.
That's awesome. I love that. And, it seems like you've been calling in a lot of things that you've been dreaming about or thinking about doing this year. I know as I've watched you, I mean, you've like totally like, launched, rocketed your modeling career and stuff in the last year or so. And you're also a certified yoga instructor, are you not?
I am. I am. I do not currently teach. I did it during the pandemic to strengthen my practice, as they say. And I've taught it to friends and church groups and a few places, but it's not something that I do on a regular basis. But I have.
Do you personally practice on a regular basis or no?
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Yeah. Because you're in
I'm,
amazing shape and you seem, I mean, super healthy.
I try, you know,
Yeah.
I do my best to, because I know that as we age, flexibility, strength, and taking care of our bodies, you don't realize it until you get to a certain age and you see things happening to other people or to yourself. And then you go, well, let's move forward in the right direction. Not that I wasn't always, because my family was focused on fitness and healthful eating when I was growing up. And I've always been that way. But of course, I pay a little more attention to it now as well. But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also seem to have a passion recently that's lifting up higher to be a public speaker. Tell me
Absolutely.
about some of what you've been doing with that recently.
Well, I really do feel that we go through different. Okay, this is not really an answer to your question, but I'll get there.
Whatever. It was an ADHD show, and we're all like jumping down rabbit holes and chasing squirrels, so it's good.
Yes, I do have that adult onset, which I've worked really hard to overcome the
It's a gift in a lot of ways, I think.
because we are very creative and we are able to focus on a lot of things, maybe not at the same time, but we are idea generators and have so many ideas. So that's one of the things. But I also have always felt deep in my soul that my gift is to speak. Now, it shows up in different ways throughout your entire life. I work with people to help them figure out what their passion and purpose are in this next part of their lives, generally women who are in that retired-ish kind of stage space. I'm not there. I'm just not there. And I want to inspire other people to step outside their comfort zone, perhaps, and to know that you are never too old. Now, I also speak to other things. I have spoken for a lovely home care provider company for their 13th anniversary. I was their keynote speaker, and I speak to whatever someone needs, but mostly motivation and inspiration. Because I do believe that every single person has something to give. We are here for a reason, not just a season, but for a reason for our lives. And that changes. But our gifts remain the same. The gifts we were born with are the gifts that live with us throughout our life. And it morphs and changes in different ways. And I feel like right now, my gift of being able to communicate with people is being called forth to inspire women over a certain age to not stop, to not give up. If you want to, that's okay. But I think there are a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, people out there, but there are a lot of people who feel stuck and like, I'm too old. I have too many wrinkles. I have white hair. I really want to help people with their self-esteem and realize that, yes, I have them too. I look in the mirror and I see the wrinkles and the dark spots, and I have to flip the switch. I have to do it consciously. I am beautiful the way I am. I earned
Gorgeous.
wrinkles. I earned these wrinkles.
Yeah.
And
And I don't know why we believe that they're some kind of a problem. They sure beat the alternative.
it's the media. It's the media. The representation of women over a certain age has not put us in the most positive light. Now, it is changing, is definitely changing. I
It's
know.
changing because of people like you who are helping to change it.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And I really feel like it was a challenge for me to embrace my white hair. But, I've come to that realization. I have white.
I grew my gray out like 2017, I think.
It's
So,
so pretty, but
you
yours
know,
is so pretty. Well, everybody's pretty.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I have streakies, it's
Love it.
very streak. I love it too, but it's like, yeah, I used to color it and cover it up and everything else, and growing it out was a bit of a pain. But once I got it out, I'm like, I can't see myself ever coloring it and covering it up again.
It lightens up your face. And
Yeah, it's natural highlights.
exactly. But I don't want people to think they shouldn't color their hair because you do you,
Oh,
girl.
absolutely.
You want Botox, do Botox. You want a facelift, do a facelift. However, don't do those things just because society tells you you have to do those things.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. That was a roundabout way of saying that I really want to get on more stages to encourage women that you are enough, lift their self-esteem. And I learned this by producing fashion shows for decades and decades because I worked with many women who were not professional models. Most of the people I worked with on stages were not professional. And I saw the power of belief in themselves, put on a nice outfit. Now, they didn't always love what I put them in, but I said, trust me, this looks great. Hair, makeup, because I'm all about makeup. I believe me, yes, I do try to cover the brown spots. So you know what? But if you don't want to makeup, I don't care, just whoever. But I saw what that does to someone when you feel good, you look good, and a little bit of coaching, you can get out on that runway in front of hundreds and hundreds of people for 3 minutes. And I saw the transformation. And I realized I was coaching them, even though I didn't realize I was coaching them, and I would just lift them up because I truly, truly, truly believe everyone has something beautiful. You can always find something beautiful and positive about someone. Well, okay, there are some people in positions of power that maybe not, but
Something. I'm sure we can find something. We all come from the same source, which is love, and it's got to be in there somewhere, right?
exactly. And I saw that transformation. So I know that everyone has the power within to ignite their spark and share it with the world, which is my hope, because we need more light in the world, especially right now.
Absolutely, right now. What do you feel like someone's spark is?
I feel, not to get too religious-y about it, but if you are God loving person, it's a God spark within. If you are a universe believer in whatever force brought us all together, it is that spark that connects us all.
Yeah.
And I always touch my heart when I talk about the spark because I feel like we always have a spark within. And I send mine to you and you send yours to me. And in my meditation this morning, I was picturing everyone gathering together and sending their own sparks to everyone else. And if we all acknowledged the light within us and the light within other people, then that spark, whatever keeps us going, it's our soul. And sometimes that spark gets dimmed. Someone tells you you're too old, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that. And our spark goes, no. And we have to access that inner belief, that inner spark, that inner light, and say, move past it and go, I got this spark going because I'm a human being living here on the earth at this time, in this decade, in this moment, in this day, in this minute. And I'm doing the best I can. And I have a light to share.
Yeah. And you used to do, or do you still do work with women that are incarcerated?
I haven't done that since the pandemic because the place that I worked with them they're still around, but they really don't have as many people living there, and they changed it. And I worked with them because we used a fashion show it was a restorative justice program under St. Vincent de Paul. And I worked with these women and we did a fundraiser. And in working with them, It was for a fashion show, but it was 6 months of working with them and
Okay.
increasing their self-esteem. And see, I saw even women down to the depths of despair who had been previously incarcerated, all ages, shapes, and sizes. They all had something beautiful inside, and they were able to access it after we worked together. We used
Right.
clothes from the thrift store, and
Mhm.
they looked beautiful. People would donate their hair and makeup expertise to help these women as they were beginning to reintegrate into society. It was very, very impactful and powerful for me in my life and for the audience who would watch these women. It was one of the greatest joys. Yes, I did that for 6 years, and nobody does fashion shows anymore either. So
Oh, but it's like it's the reason why we all love a good makeover show or a good makeover video that we stumble across on social media where we watch somebody go from, one end to the other and we know that it's been the same person the entire time.
right, right. But boy, it sure changes uh, your
Energy.
your energy, and it changes your thoughts about yourself. And that the goal is to have those thoughts stay with us regardless of whether we have lipstick on or not.
Right. But I think through the lens of like a makeover show or the way that you've worked with people, it's knowing that somebody else sees it in you too.
Yes, that's
Not
beautiful.
just you like getting ready in front of your mirror and transforming yourself alone, but knowing that somebody else sees it also.
Oh, yeah, that's lovely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome. So, what are some of the ways that you're working with people currently?
Well, I do have a small coaching practice because I don't have a lot of time, but I do have a few people that I work with on a regular basis. And I am a certified creativity coach, but I call it intuitive sparkle coaching.
I like that.
I use my intuition, which I have gone through a lot of classes to access that intuition or to strengthen it because we're all born with it.
Sure.
And I use all of the tools that I learned in the Kaizen Muse creativity coaching class that I took, plus my decades of experience working with women
And just being a human being.
and just being a human being, but to help them. Sometimes, I mean, we all need, a help.
Yep.
You do your help so beautifully with your skills and your,
But I have help too.
we all need it. We all,
Yes, coaches need coaches and, all sorts. We all need somebody to help, keep us our best.
yeah. So I'm doing that, but I am also working on doing an online program that people could just access, one that I taught called Ignite Your Spark, but a recorded one that people can access upon clicking a button. So
Yeah, that's
it
awesome.
works. And then through my podcast, and, I try to live by example. And the speaking is really something that I would really hope that brings me out into sharing my message to help women.
That's awesome. I feel very much the same. Speaking comes natural to me, and I love being able to share a message that way. It was actually very difficult for me to write a book this year because I felt like I'd already spoken it. Like on podcasts like yours and everybody else's, it's like I've created this already. Like, and we're just not quite to that point where I could just tell AI to put it all together for me, but that would have been really nice. So I get it. I love speaking also, and it's what comes naturally. And I think it's also where we get to really feel like ourselves, like we're getting to put our real trademark on it. And like when I was creating my book, I loved doing the audible version because I knew that every sentence got delivered the way I wanted it delivered. And, it had my energy and all that kind of stuff. So I
I,
love that for you that you're doing more speaking and people are getting to experience your energy because you have great energy and you're a wonderful speaker and you have a great voice.
oh, thank you.
Like I still remember listening to your podcast, getting ready to be on your show the first time, and I was like, wow, like this is an awesome show. Like you've got a great sound, you had great music, you had great guests on. I was like, this is definitely like every time you listen to your show, you feel like your spark has been ignited in some way, shape, or form. And I love that for everybody that gets to listen to it. So, what are some of your favorite things to eat on Thanksgiving?
Hmm. Well, I'm vegan adjacent, so I will eat fish, but it's a little challenging sometimes. But I have to tell you, my favorite food as a kid was mashed potatoes. So
Okay.
I mashed potatoes with vegan butter and chicken stock and all of that. So mashed potatoes, I love them,
Ooh, they
and
are good.
I love stuffing. I mean, I love all the sides. I always have loved all the sides and cranberries. cranberries are so good for you as long as you don't put so much sugar in. But cranberries are very healing. And I'm addicted to cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving and
Yeah,
therefore
I
go.
like it too, but it's definitely not the healthy stuff. I like the jellied stuff without the chunks. Yep, that's awful for us. But you know what? I have it one time a year and I absolutely love it. And I'll eat like a whole half a can myself.
Oh yeah, I used to love that as a kid, where you'd take it out. We'd have both kinds. We'd have, well, my mother never ever cooked at Thanksgiving. We always went to someone's house, but we'd have both kinds. We'd have the kind that was crunchy. I didn't like that. Now I love it. And the
Mhm.
kind in the can, and you'd roll it out, and it had the
Yeah, so it was like a log and all the indentations in the can, everything.
loved it. I still would love it. I just make my own now, so it doesn't look like that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's part of the charm, though. I think the indentations in the can and trying to get it out of the can because you always have to like get the hole in the other end so that the air can get in, and then you're like sitting there trying to get it out, and it's a whole event. But that's Thanksgiving. I wouldn't say
Um,
that's my favorite thing about Thanksgiving, but I do enjoy cranberry sauce.
yeah, my favorite thing about Thanksgiving is really just being with people and having conversations. It's really not about the food to me. It's about the people.
Oh, absolutely. The food's pretty good though.
Oh,
We used to, ours has changed a lot with the pandemic. We used to get together, usually generally around like 50 of us, my mom's side of the family. And, it used to be like when I was growing up, it was our house, and then it got a little bigger, and then it went to like an uncle's house, and then it went to my grandparents' like retirement home hall, and then we were in a church hall, and then the pandemic kind of everybody started to just split out. And at that time, my sister invited us to their house for Thanksgiving, and her husband owns restaurants, and he's a chef and everything else.
oh,
We make such a good Thanksgiving dinner. It's like, well, this is great. Plus, we have a place to stay. We don't have to. Usually, we would drive from Maryland to Pennsylvania and back in the same day on Thanksgiving traffic, and it was just kind of like mayhem. But it was so good to be together with all the family. Like that made it worth it. But it's also really nice to be able to go for multiple days, relax, actually feel like we're having a quality time kind of visit with my family, and they cook and it's amazing.
where is it? Where is it that you go?
They live in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware,
Nice.
so East Coast.
So you don't have to cook anything?
I usually make desserts or salads or things like that that I can easily travel with or make in advance.
One thing is good. I mean, that's why sometimes we've gone places or, out because, the cooking is a little
It's
intense.
a lot. That was kind of the nice thing about when we had the huge group of family because everyone would make something.
Right.
It had to be a pretty large portion of something, but everyone, would be in charge of one to a few things. And it was this amazing buffet, like enormous buffet of things. And nobody really had to do too much.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, I hope maybe we'll get back to it. But I also feel like kind of naturally, as families get a little older, you branch off and then you start forming your own larger celebrations. And that's just kind of how the life and the generations and things go on. But I do love that I still do have other opportunities to get together with the larger group of family because that does mean a lot to me, really does.
Of course,
It's
especially
so
when you have
beautiful.
such a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do anything different to express thankfulness or gratitude on Thanksgiving?
You know,
Traditions. Like we have a special grace that we sing every Thanksgiving that's like mayhem. It's like my mom starts hooting and hollering and we all gather around and hold hands and sing this grace pretty much only at Thanksgiving or if we're together with extended family.
no, because we're so small. We really don't. I do like to go around and say what everybody's thankful for, but I have a couple of jokesters, my husband and son, and everything turns into a joke. So
Gotcha. Take it from serious to something else.
yeah. But I'm just grateful anytime I can be together with any of my very small family.
Yeah. Do you have any particular acting gigs or modeling things that you're working on right now that are exciting? Or
I'll
any
tell
that you've done recently that you're excited about?
I did a really fun shoot last week for Instacart, and I don't
Awesome.
it's just a print ad, but it was so much fun. I didn't have to dress like a grandma. They dressed me in so
Oh, I
many.
saw your Instagram posts about it in a kitchen or whatever. You had a great outfit on.
Oh, they gave me the coolest, brightest colors, and I just love that. But I will tell you, it is not easy doing this because you audition all the
I
time.
was just going to ask, like, what's the real deal with being an actor and a model in this day and age?
Well, for someone over my age, too, there are differences certainly from the 30-year-olds to the 60-year-olds because there aren't as many opportunities. And I'm very fortunate to have a manager in LA and an agent here. So I get some opportunities to audition, but I don't get even a third of what I auditioned for. And what the hardest thing is picking yourself back up and going, well, why? Because you don't get feedback since COVID. Well, I only started this after COVID. So I mean, I did a little bit in previous lives, but since COVID, everything is online. So you are talking to a camera, your phone, and you don't know, you don't get feedback. You just never hear if you don't get it. And they don't tell your agents, they don't tell anybody. So it's a very challenging job, in quotes. I tried this in my 20s and realized I was in Manhattan and there was always something, they're very judgy. There's always something wrong. Your hair's too curly, you're this, you're that. And I didn't like that judgment. I also didn't like having to be so focused on me all the time. And now it's not the only thing I do. I was trying to have that be the only thing I did. Now it's just sort of a side gig, which I love and am grateful for every single job that comes my way. And believe me, I put that in my gratitude list because it's so much fun. I
Awesome.
love it. I mean, I love it. So I'm just grateful every time someone hires me and try to call more of that into my life. But I mean,
Well, it seems like you're doing it. I feel like every time I turn around, I see something else, or we're chatting on Messenger or somewhere and hearing about something that you have coming up, and it's exciting. It's really exciting. And I think it's also like why you're so good at helping other people to ignite and reignite their spark because you're constantly doing it for yourself.
yeah, I am. And you really have to when you are putting yourself out, when you are selling yourself in any position. I mean, you're selling yourself as an author now. You're selling your book. I mean, it's a lot of work to sell yourself because, well, one of the coaches I'm working with right now in my speaking program to become a highly paid speaker, to further that career, is a bird bragging when it says it can fly. And I put that on my Instagram story. I just love that quote. I mean, she just said it. And it's so true but we have a hard time as human beings because we are either judged as braggy, oh, she puts herself out there too much, or we don't do it enough. And that person's like, oh, I'm too shy. I'm too that. It's a really fine balance. It's really challenging in any industry where you're constantly selling yourself or your abilities.
But we should be able to do that. And I feel like at least women collectively, like I've noticed this in promoting my book, even the amount of people who have been like, gosh, this is no problem at all. I can't wait to support you. Like, how awesome is this? And everything else. Whereas I kind of like, at first I was kind of tiptoeing out like, well, would you help me out here? And then it's like, you know what? This is a gift. Like what I have to offer is a gift. It's amazing. I've poured my heart and soul into it for the last year or longer. And, thank you for helping me share it and receiving that. I think as women, we have a lot of trouble receiving all of the goodness that comes back to us because we're not expecting it to be easy, or we, kind of high functioning anxiety people like me, like we're used to like, just work harder, do more. And we're not used to it when things actually get easy and they start flowing to us because we've opened up those channels for ourselves.
That's right. I mean, one of the things that I have to focus on is ease myself and letting go of fear. Because when you start questioning why you have this fear and you go deep into that and keep asking why, you go really far back in your life. I was talking about that on a post too, but it's really important to ease into life instead of step away and be fearful. In so many situations, if you were afraid to promote your book, it wouldn't get promoted.
Right. Nobody else is going to do it for me because nobody cares like I do about making sure its message gets heard, read, that kind of thing.
But those of us who know you want to support you. And you have a very genuine way about you too. It's not aggressive. And I think that's where some people who are trying to promote themselves find it challenging because they can be very aggressively promoting instead of promoting from the heart and saying, oh, this is actually going to help someone. You have to believe it to receive it.
Yes, Absolutely. And just like you, like I only know that because I've walked the walk and talked the talk and done the work, the same work that I promote other people doing, I've done for myself. So I think that's so important. Like when people are looking for people to help reignite their spark or whatever, like are they doing it themselves? And I loved like when I was doing this earlier this year, you mentioned about how like the bragging and everything. I was part of a program centered around, increasing pleasure in our lives. And one of the things we did every time we were together was brag on ourselves and practice bragging on ourselves and listening as everyone else there, cheered us on and, said how amazing it was, the things that we were, bragging about or desiring in our life or expressing gratitude about.
Yeah, that is one of my tips that I use in Ignite Your Spark. And I say that every single day you should pat yourself on the back and
Yeah.
give yourself a hug, especially if no one else is around you to give you that hug.
Yeah.
You have to embrace your superpower. You have to
Yeah.
wear that cloak of compliments that people give you
Right.
whenever they give them to you. If someone gives you a compliment, I suggest people write it down, keep it in a little book. And when I teach these classes live, I have them physically imagine a cloak and it's filled with all the compliments that people have given them or are going to give them, all of the
Oh, I love
positive
that.
aspects about yourself. It's your cloak of positivity. And I think that's such a great thing to go around a circle and actually have other people genuinely say something about you that is fabulous. So great.
Yes. Yeah, for me, it was a big deal just to have a group of women and be able to brag on myself and have it received in such a loving and, like mirrored back kind of way. Like that was huge because I was just not really used to doing that.
Yeah, right. When nobody is, because we're taught at such a young age, as we were raised to be gracious, we were taught
Don't
it's
brag.
exactly. And that there's that fine
Be
line.
modest.
Yeah. You have to appreciate and accept it. It's a lot of it is about how you say something or
Sure.
how you present something. If you go, well, actually, I am such a fabulous model, nobody else compares. Or if you say, oh yeah, I love it, I'm embracing it, it's so much fun. I mean, there's such
Right.
a difference in the way you say something too.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. But these are not really things that come intuitively to a lot of people. Was there a time when you talked about how you kind of worked on your own intuition? Was there a time when you felt really disconnected from it, or when you recognized like, "Oh, I really want to like hone back in on this inborn skill that I'm not connecting with?"
I think we go through those moments throughout our lives.
Yes.
Now, there were times, and I think it would be more recently that I felt out of touch with it in a way, even though I do more work on it now, because as I was younger, I just knew things would happen. I just knew this was good or this, I knew how to manifest without knowing how to manifest. And using our intuition is something I think that now I have to pay attention to. And I have to really think because no one's going to, you can go to all the healers, the psychics, the mediums that you want, but you know what? It's inside. And so I was constantly over the past many years looking for validation outside myself, looking for someone to tell me. And I still need that with healers, because I have trouble with insomnia, as I
Mm.
mentioned. And I think to myself, well, someone else can't help that. Now, I think that EFT and hypnotherapy can help those things. And I use EFT a lot for that. But inside, we know it's all about calming down and stilling yourself. And yes, I mean, I definitely felt that my intuition and my ADD were going wackadoodle out of control. So I've had to really work on, I think the biggest thing for me was calming down and just really believing, okay, it's in there. It's in there. The answers are in me. That does not mean I don't need a coach. I'm in a coaching program. I mean, that does not mean I don't need alternative holistic ways of healing, but it also means we have to listen and tune in to that
Yeah.
spark heart.
Absolutely. I think it kind of takes a village for all of us to really be our best selves.
Definitely.
But it also helps us to reinforce the point that we're not intended to do this alone.
No, no.
Like
Well,
that
because
was
we
hard for me, I think, because I always kind of wanted to just do everything alone or figure it out myself or that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's interesting because I've always wanted, needed, desired people around me to help me. And I think that comes from being an only child.
Yeah.
I You either go one of two ways. I actually love being around people. I love it. I get so much joy in watching that show. What is it? Live to 100 on Netflix. There's
Oh,
four.
it's a good one. Yes.
Good. And one of the things that is consistent throughout all of the locations in the blue zones is community and connection.
True.
And I've read a lot of studies that say that that is one of the number one ways to live a longer, healthier life is when you have a community. And I think that community and connection is so important. And I don't know why I said that or where that came from, but I thought it
No,
just,
it's completely relevant, and it's relevant to our nervous systems and our ability to co-regulate and so many other things. So it makes total sense. And yet, without Netflix putting it all together for us, we might not figure it out, you know? But when they do, I love that show because it seems so obvious, the movement that these different places, take part in and the foods they eat and all of the other things. It's like, that makes total sense. But yet,
I think the one thing that we're lacking in the United States, at least, is the community. And it's not everyone, but your kids flee the nest. They leave, they live elsewhere. And you don't have that sense of community all the time and connection. And I mean, I feel that, I sense that it's not as strong as it was, of course, 100 years ago or even decades ago. Yeah.
yeah, we have so many ways that we don't have to rely on each other anymore, like you just did the ad for Instacart. Like we've got people that'll shop for us. We've got people that'll do things for us. We can hop online and do something instead of doing it in person. There's all of these like workarounds that kind of take us out of community.
Yeah, it's so funny. And this is a little different, but you said that. So the next day afterwards, I was talking to my son and I said, "Oh, I really don't feel like going to the store. I need to go get some groceries." And he looks at me and goes, "You literally just did an ad for a company that can do that for you." I was like, "Right."
Got to at least sample the services if you're going to endorse them, right?
But you know what? It's funny because I don't I go to the grocery store every day because I only have my husband and I to cook for and I don't like to waste food. And it's kind of during the pandemic was my way of getting out. I didn't go to the grocery store every day that first year, but I need to be around people. I need that. I can't always rely on Amazon to send me what I need.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy getting out and doing my own shopping too, for sure. It's nice to pick out your own fruits and vegetables and all of that good stuff too. I don't like anybody else doing that for me.
No.
Oh my goodness. It's been so good talking to you, and I really am hoping that you and your family have an amazing Thanksgiving this year, Kim. And I'd love to be able to share with listeners where they can, find you and learn more about how they can ignite their spark with you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And I know your family will have a beautiful Thanksgiving as well. And I am sharing my gratitude for you right now. So remember that on Thanksgiving, someone else thinks you are an amazing human.
Here.
So proud of you for your book. Can't wait to talk to you on my own podcast. I'm just, what a conversation. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to like ramble, but you can
Oh, I
find
love
me.
it. That's what it's all about. Actually, just talking.
I love it too. Kim Duff Selby. Every platform is always just Kim Duff Selby. And I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. And
I will
yeah,
make sure all of that is over in the show notes. And thank you for being so welcoming to me over on TikTok because I'm new over there, and like I have like 5 followers, so I always appreciate when you put something on there. I'm just figuring it out over there after years and years of people being like, "You need to get over to TikTok." Finally, have my team working on getting me over to TikTok. So thank you.
my coaches told me that you have to be on TikTok. It's not just for kids anymore. And if
Yep.
you post 3 times a day, you'll see your followers increase. Well, that's challenging 3 times.
It sure is. It definitely is. It's not that I don't have the content, it's more like the time to actually get it up there. So grateful to my team, but they've also got a lot of other things they're working on too for me. So I got to prioritize things. And this is the typical end of my show is when my dog comes up, just like he did in the beginning, and he's like, you're done taping now, Mom." So thank you all for listening. Have an amazing Thanksgiving with your family or your pets or whoever you're spending it with. Enjoy all the wonderful food and all of the gratitude. And thank you for listening. Thanks for spending some of your precious time with me today. If you loved this episode, please leave a review or simply share it with someone else who would get great benefit from it too. If you share on social media, please tag me so I can personally connect and thank you. Until next time, keep taking bold and brave steps towards becoming more of who you want to be in this world. You are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough. And if your inner critic is still trying to argue with those facts, hit me up. We've got work to do.